What's going on, world? It's your boy Whitmore American. I'm here with episode 2 of the For Felons podcast. I got a special guest today, my homeboy, the one and only Claiborne Maupin. How you doing, bro?
What's up, y'all? What's good, bro?
Man, it's a blessing, man.
Absolutely,
Welcome
man.
home, bro.
Absolutely,
been
man.
a long time,
It's
man.
monumental. It's like, this is dope to like be in your setting, be in this setting.
Man, we
Wow.
spoke into existence, you know what I mean?
Word,
Got
man.
a lot of history over the years, man. It's just a beautiful thing to just be alive here and just, you know what I mean, representing. So we got a lot to talk about today, man.
Absolutely,
Man. We could touch on a lot of things, but we definitely gonna touch on the most positive things that, you overcame through your adversity.
Absolutely.
Definitely. But we wanna get started just letting the audience know a little bit about your upbringing, where you were born and raised, where you're from and stuff. So if you could just
I was born and raised in Charlottesville, Virginia. I was here most of my life. I left when I was 27.
Word. Yeah, man. So how was your household, man, like coming up? Did you have your mother and father in house, and how was that, man?
Blessings, man. Miss Ann was my mom, man. Phenomenal woman, man. Phenomenal mother. Man, I love that lady with all my heart. To my father, man, Charles, man. He always was in my life, man. Always, man. Blessings, man. Didn't even know it, though. Didn't even realize how blessed I was to have them in my life.
Yeah, every day you just learn more and just, you know what I mean, appreciate life even more, right?
Absolutely.
How about your grandparents, you know what I mean? Did you meet your grandfather?
My grandfather, I met my grandfather on my mom's side, and I met my grandfather on my father's side. But I never got a chance to meet my grandmother on my mom's side. And I met my grandmother on my father's side.
Okay, that's what's up. So most of your family was from around here in this area, or surrounding counties?
On my father's side, on my mother's side, they was from Tennessee.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you do a little traveling and got family out that way too?
Yeah, man. I had my uncle on my mom's side, man, phenomenal black man, man. That man was awesome, like my superhero.
See, that's the things that I really dig for. You know what I mean? Because unfortunately, a lot of us black males didn't have as much inspiration in house or close to us. You know what I mean? So I just like for people to just see and hear some of those stories. You know what I mean? To share those, man.
You know what's funny is that a lot of times I think we do and don't probably realize that we have them because, like I really didn't realize how blessed I was to have certain figures in my life, my family, like blessings, man.
Yeah.
Like to have a mom like Miss Ann that was, man, phenomenal woman, like, and to have a father like my dad, have my uncle, like, man, just blessings, just overall, man. I'm grateful, thankful now. Looking back, my uncle, he caught COVID and passed. Man, God rest his soul. Great man.
Blessing, definitely, man.
Great man.
Yeah. So you had a lot of male roles, in
I did.
coming up in that round. Did you feel like at any point that it was kind of hard to relate? Was there any type of adversity with that, or
as far as like in my household, no, like not really. Like I can share it. Like my dad was an alcoholic, but he was in my life. You know what I'm saying? But he liked to drink. He said here and there he battled with that, and him and my mom had a divorce when I was younger. But that ain't really no excuse or nothing. Like I was blessed to have certain people in my life. I just chose to make bad turns and do certain things.
Yeah, definitely. I feel you there. Where would you say like it where it would start looking back now? Is there anywhere that you could kind of pinpoint at a younger when you were coming up? Yeah, like where you kind of started going down the wrong path, or do you?
Actually, yeah, like probably like when my mom and my dad divorced, like around that time, like 13, 14, like alternative school age, around middle school.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
those relationships impact us in so many ways that you just don't even know. It's like, you know,
Man,
it's crazy, man. But it's good that you can, you know, pinpoint it and figure out, you know, where it came from. And then the main thing about this show here is like so the youth can look back and see, you know, see themselves in you. You know what I mean?
absolutely.
And
Likewise,
identify.
I
Yeah.
can see myself in them and identify with them.
Exactly.
Like we go, I work with the Uhuru Foundation as a credible messenger for troubled youth.
Definitely.
And the brother Robert Gray, like he gave me an opportunity to help because my company, which is ArmecheMacross, which means all real minds educate communities, helping elevate mentalities and create realistic opportunities, styling successfully. It's a lot, right?
Yeah.
But it means something. And
we're gonna definitely get
just
more
based
into
on
that.
yeah, absolutely.
Definitely.
But like with the kids, we go to the alternative school every week and talk to the youth, and I get to, I had to introduce myself to them, explain what led me up to be there talking to them today, and I told them while I was away, like you have nothing but time to sit and think and reflect on the bad decisions you made, and it always led me to their age. The lack of thinking, taking education serious. I used to feel like, yo, I ain't gonna need this stuff. Well, I don't need to learn that. And as I got older, I actually realized I did myself a disservice not taking education serious because we need it.
Gotta learn every day, right?
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Student of the game, man.
Yeah, man. That's gotta be real therapeutic for you to, you know, come from out of there and then go back. You know, that feeling gotta be awesome. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Definitely. I know you're inspiring and touching a lot of people, and it's a lot more that we want to get you in front of. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Definitely. So when was the first time that you experienced a friend or family member, someone close to you, being incarcerated? If you can remember.
That's a great question, man. That like.
I always like to think about the first time and how, you know, what you thought about it. Like, what was your reaction, if you can think about it?
I think my father got incarcerated, something for like drinking in public, or he was drunk or something, and he had to do a weekend or something like that. When I was young,
Yeah.
I was real young. Of course, that affected me, like, cause he was in my household. So I'm like, man, my dad gotta go to jail, like, and be
Yeah,
away,
like. Yeah, I know it was so long ago. It's kind of hard to think exactly what you was thinking, but I love to get those reactions because, you know what I mean. It's important, like how you look at things and how it affects you.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Man, perspective shapes everything. How you view something, man, that shapes your future.
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
You know?
Because some people think like what you're so used to people getting incarcerated. You know what I mean? Friends and family members. So some people, it shapes and molds them to feel like it's part of the process. Like, you know what I mean? I can do this or whatever. And that's one of the biggest issues I feel like that we have. It's like we become conditioned to these, you know, crazy circumstances. You know what I mean? I don't know if that's just from the history of African Americans and, you know, descent or whatnot, but it's definitely.
We know that's by design. Like,
yeah, definitely by
that
design.
was by design.
Definitely by design.
But no.
Yeah. So how about yourself? Like when you first got arrested or, you know, got incarcerated, when was the first time? How old were you?
I was 27 when I went in. And
was that the first time you ever were arrested?
Nope, I was arrested one other time. I was, hold on, I was 20, in 2000 and,
Early 2000.
2001.
2000.
I got arrested.
Word, yeah. What would you say your experience was? How was your experience your first time?
Oh man, my first experience was, man, life altering, like changes. 'Cause I made a careless mistake. As far as my experiences said,
was it really like, was it what you thought it was gonna be?
At that time,
Or worse?
the jail part wasn't the heart wasn't the part that I was so overwhelmed with. It was more so the situation, the circumstance.
Yeah. So, how was your last experience incarcerated?
Um,
I know you got a substantial
Man, that
number.
was a long, exhausting experience. I went to trial, had a mistrial, and after the first stage of deliberation, so I got to see my whole trial, and then I ended up pleading guilty to 20 years, stand-up plea, 20 years,
Okay.
but to run my 5 year state sentence concurrent with my 20 years, because I had already had 5 years in the state at that time.
Yeah. Yeah. I know I was with you in the beginning of your journey, man. We definitely had a lot of hardship. You know what I mean?
In the jail.
Yeah. We both lost our mothers.
Yeah.
You know, but we got two angels up there now.
Man,
You know,
blessings,
man,
It's
it's. So let's talk a little bit of like how it was, how you were kind of feeling a little bit in the jail and transitioning to going to do the time. You know what I mean? Like, you maybe share a little bit of the hardships.
Learning. I mean, the prison setting and doing time. You learn when you're young. That was my first time really doing a prison sentence. So I had to learn little things. So it was a lot of knickknacks, a lot of experiences that I had to go through, squabbles
Trial
or
and
whatever,
error. Yeah.
trial and error,
Yeah.
in those environments. You learn there's men in those environments, and you got to be a man, so
Yeah.
I had to learn to really be a man in prison. I was still a young man, striving to be a man, but I was still young.
Most definitely.
The way they rate those institutions up based on your points or your age or your charges or whatever, it's designed and set up. It's like for me, I spent once I left the state and went to the feds. I was thinking that I was hearing all these federal stories. Oh man, you gonna go somewhere they got vending machines and swimming pools and this and that and the third.
It's overrated.
All of that stuff was false. Cause I and one of my buddies had been in. He came and visited me when I was in the state. He said, "Yo, you ain't gonna like it when you get there, cause you going to a USP, right?" I was like, "Nah, I'm here. I'm in level 2, cause I was in Coffeewood when I was in the States. So I'm like, nah, I'm gonna go my leg situation. I'm like, nah, man, I'm gonna go to a. He was like, I'm gonna go to a FCI. He was like, cuzzo, you ain't going to no FCI. You going to a USP. I was like, USC what? Man, I got on the bus. They said, you going to Big Sandy. I'm like, oh, crap, man.
That's a whole different experience.
Yeah, man, that was like crazy, man.
Yeah.
I met a lot of good brothers there. Blessings, man. It's a lot of good men in the world, man.
That's what I was gonna say. I know you got a lot of good jewels. You told me about one of your cellies.
Yeah. Blessings, man.
Most definitely, man. What would you say is one of the biggest jewels that you got, or it's something that you learned, just from being in there?
One of the biggest jewels I got is the power of the mind, man. Like, God made us in His image. So, like, man, everything that exists in the world first started in somebody's mind. Like,
That's a fact.
Well, man, my man, a dynamic thinking brother, man. Twan Dunlop, man. That man is a dynamic thinking brother, man. Life changed. He taught me a lot, bro.
Yeah, man.
Word, man.
That's dope, man.
My man, man.
Yeah. What any books that you read in there?
Man, I read so many books while I was in prison. I'm trying to think of some. The Prosperity Bible. Man, I read so many books. Like, Rich Dad, Poor Dad books by Robert Kiyosaki. I liked those books. Because he made you understand stuff. He made it so simple. He broke it down in the simple language terms, how he used his one dad stinking, who was a he had a job, and then this other rich dad, he was a rich dad, so it was like he had a career versus the rich dad mentality, and it had two different perspectives, and it broke it down to make you really understand it.
Yeah, that's definitely a dope book. Yeah, for sure.
Man, shout out to all the positive good men that I met while on my travels, man, because I met a lot of good men from all over the world, man.
Yeah.
My brothers, man, with that genuine love to be like, yo, please go in the locker, you can get some, like, or yo, bro, you can go in there and grab something. They ain't love, like, not based on geographical places or, like one of my bros, we used to always say, yo, we from the universe. You're liable to see me in China when I get home.
Yeah.
Like,
no,
you feel what I'm saying? Just blessings, man.
That's dope,
Word, man.
Yeah, man. Just speaking of, you doing such a substantial number of time. How do you feel the second look bill, can help? What do you think about that, and how it can help, individuals that you knew?
Man, absolutely. I think the second look bill would be a great look for a lot of brothers, because a lot of brothers have served an extensive amount of time, and after you've been in for so long, it's like
it's redundant, right?
Man, the time becomes, it's already acted as a return in your life, in this person's life. They already making steps to change, but the environment forces you to be a convict mentality and a form of thinking. So how can you transition when you're forced to have a survival mentality in those environments? It's like, so that would be a great look for a lot of people. A second look.
Yeah, the second look bill.
Yeah, the second look bill. That would be a great look.
Yeah. How do you feel about expungement, and what do you think it could do for you?
I think it's really needed, honestly, because after serving that time and striving to transition and be a law-abiding citizen, make conscious decisions to do the right stuff, man. I need that stuff off my record, because people, they give you those jackets or they close doors on you. Initially, when I first came home, I had did a lot of research, market research. I was reading and stuff, and they even had it on the news. They was talking about Amazon was offering people to start a logistics company.
I remember that.
For $10,000 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I tried to do it, and
that's when you met one of your first barriers.
Yeah, they slammed the door on me and said because of my record. So that's something that blocks you from trying to do something.
And you need it. I mean, after being incarcerated, I mean, you're the number one candidate for an entrepreneur. You know what I mean? Like, that's what we need. I mean, to keep the community thriving as well. You know what I mean? Most definitely.
And that's another thing too, is why you went in prison in your way, in those institutions that I was in the U.S. penitentiary. We didn't have access to technology and stuff like that. What was going on out in the world, and coming home, because I ended up getting my case got vacated because I had a few years left. And I had an appeal for a 3582 appeal, and I ended up taking it to appeals court, and I won in appeals court by Lisa Loris, man, a great lawyer, man. That lady was an angel, man. She blessings, I ended up going home. They came to me 3 days before I was gonna go home and said I was going home. And when I first got out here, I really didn't know how to use a telephone to fill out an application. I was still used to just going to fill out a regular application. I didn't know I had to fill out my application, but I was blessed to have family and stuff that helped me. So.
Yeah, I'm glad you touched on that, because you would think that in the federal system, or the state system, that they have these programs. They say they have reentry programs, they do
reentry programs.
But it's like it's just limited. You know what I mean? It's just so much more that you need to know. Even something that simple like a cell phone. It's really not simple though. It's a computer. It's really the key to the world. You know what I mean? So it's like
trying to learn the gadgets of them cell phones, technology.
And how hard could it have been for them to have a class teaching you how to use a phone? Man. You know what I mean?
It's needed.
It's needed. So many little things, you know what I mean? Definitely. So, yeah, coming home, that was one of your barriers. What are there any other barriers that you want to touch on, or just speak on how your transition was coming home?
Overall, man, coming home, I was very fortunate because I had family members and loved ones that loved me, and I was very blessed, you know. But it was still challenging because I was striving to go get a job and do the right thing with my probation and all of those things. But I couldn't really get a job. Like every place I went to get a job, they would slam the door on me. They said, "Man, you got a record. You know, I can't give you a chance. I can't give you no job." And then I ended up finding a job at the whiskey jar. I was washing dishes, and it was therapeutic because I was in there thinking and brainstorming, listening to jamming to my little music, and man, they was great people. They was cool. It was just a good setting. Word.
Yeah. So I know that you're a big dreamer and you're definitely an entrepreneur. I always had that trait. How did you get into your clothing line? Let's talk a little bit about that. Like, how did you start putting it into the universe when you got out? You know, those ideas, all those ideas that you had in there. You know, what was like one of the first things you did coming out doing that?
Actually, it was overwhelming. I ain't gonna lie. I made so many mistakes initially, but learned at the same time. Because when I came home, I already had my vision of my clothing brand and what I was gonna do, the name and all that stuff, and I registered my fictitious name. That stuff is all simple, really, but I didn't know that then. Like, you can Google anything. We in the information age, so it was like overwhelming to be able to do things on my own. Because when you away, you can only rely on your family or somebody to do stuff for you. So to be home and then finally be able to do it myself. Hold on, let me go get this book I want to read, or let me go research this information, or let me look at for sourcing or something. You know, I could look up stuff. So that was like overwhelming. Then my kids, after being gone so long. So
that's dope, man.
Yeah, I got 6 daughters too, y'all. Pardon me too. Yeah, I got 6 beautiful young ladies.
That's what's up, man.
Yeah, very blessed, man.
So, you mentioned earlier some of the work that you're doing in the community, with the youth. I definitely want to expand more onto that. If you could just share a little bit of what you do with them.
Yeah, I'm a credible messenger with troubled youth with the Uhuru Foundation.
What's the name of the organization?
Uhuru Foundation. Yeah. We've been going to the alternative school every week, talking to the kids.
So how what's like kind of some of the feedback you get, and how do you feel? Because you know, like sometimes, like for myself, I'm like, well, how do I connect? You know what I mean? Sometimes that's just how I feel. Did you feel like you got instant connection, or did you feel like it took a little while for them to grow?
I think it took a little while for them to really, you know, to get comfortable with us. But I think we getting progress.
That's dope, because you got that patience, you know what I mean? Because you really care, you know what I mean? I think that might have been some of the distance that we might have had with the other generations. I ain't pointing the finger or anything, but they just need a little bit more patience. They like, these little youngins don't get it, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it's a process.
It definitely
take time. But man, kids, they our future, you know? So like,
Facts.
It feel great to go in there and interact with them, because I once was them, you know? So, man, they our future, man. They got so much potential that, you know, that we see in them. Like,
Yeah, man.
So it's a beautiful experience to have the opportunity to be able to go in there and interact with them. Cause life is a blessing, you know. Every day is a blessing, though. So to be able to go into alternative school, interact with the kids, just paying it forward to the youth, like the elders who gave game to me, paid it forward to us. You know?
Paying it forward for sure, man. That's what it's all
still
about.
Still sharp and still, man.
Yeah, that's what's up. That's dope, man. Yeah, so ArmecheMacross, man. Let's dig into that.
I definitely, man. I had to remember, like, man, I was in a U.S. penitentiary drawing pictures of ArmecheMacross, like, and now today I'm out here in the world and I'm wearing ArmecheMacross. Blessings, man.
Yeah, that's dope.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, like, and game is yo, you can find, man, so much opportunity now in the world. You can Google anything, information. And Alibaba, you can look on there and find sourcing and find all different sourcing places where you can get your stuff, you get your merch.
So were you doing what kind of research? I know you were doing a lot of research inside. You were sending me letters talking about like, yo, bro, on it.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? If you want to share a little bit of research that you might have came across, where were you researching? What were you looking at? You know what
man,
I mean?
I was just getting my family to get all kind of books, like just to read on like stuff about the fashion industry, and just all different kinds of stuff.
What got you into fashion now? You know, I know you was a fly guy, so.
Actually, man, I met this good dude, man. He called himself the president because he said he gonna be the president of his company. He the president of his company.
No, that's right.
And man, he challenged me to read these certain books like Rich Dad, Poor Dad books. I ain't gonna be able to understand that stuff because I only have an 8th grade education. So I really was like, man, I ain't gonna be able to understand that stuff. You feel what I'm saying? He was like, man, nah, read the book. He used to read Donald Trump books. Man, he liked the Donald Trump. He used to be like, man, read these books, man. You'll understand them. And I read a little bit of the Robert Kiyosaki book. And I asked him what a derivative was. And he was like, yo, man, see? He said, what's a derivative? I said, yeah, what is a derivative? And he explained the derivative by saying they take a cow and make milk. So milk was derived from the cow. Milk came from the cow, basically. Milk derived from the cow. But a derivative is the milk that they made is a derivative of the cow. And then they took the milk and made cheese. So the cheese is the derivative of the milk. Like you can look at that as example, say, look at 50 Cent, what's the sitcom, what's the joints he got out?
Power.
Power, and then he turned Power, and those is derivatives of derivative. That's pretty dope.
Yeah, man. Always learning. That's what's up, man. What does freedom mean to you? Like now, how do you cherish your freedom? And if you could sum it up, what does freedom mean to you?
Just valuing the life, valuing everything, being alive, cherishing every moment, no matter where you at, no matter what circumstance you in. Just making the best of it and having faith is freedom. Because I ain't gonna lie, it was times we was in there and like they used to come and look at us and the COs be mad at us. We be in there smiling and they be incarcerated and we be free because we be smiling and making the best of our situations, learning. And man, you got so many positive people in those environments. Negative people too.
Yeah.
But man, you got a lot of game, a lot of talent. Work, man.
Yeah, that's dope. What do you see as like, since you've been home, like 3 of the top community issues?
3 of the top. That's a great question. That really got me like.
Or like maybe just the biggest, like what the most need here in the community. I mean, of course, housing, you know, is always been a big.
Absolutely, the housing as far as like the homeless. Because when I initially came home, I volunteered to like feed the homeless with Come As You Are Seville, and man, it's
That's
a lot of
dope.
homeless people in Charlottesville. It's a lot of homeless, like the housing period, like. Um,
How was that experience? You know, with the homeless community, um, serving and
that was a great experience to keep, because it kept me grounded to realize that, you know, they still human beings, the same as me and you. Like, we could be flip of a coin, you could be in the similar situation. So it just was, it was refreshing to go and interact with them and deal with them or whatever.
yeah, that's dope, man. What kind of goals do you have? What are some of your goals if you want to share some?
Um, Short term or long term goals.
Short or long?
My short term goals, man, just being productive and paying it forward to the youth, and I don't know, man, wow, like having building a relationship, building a foundation for my kids, kids.
I really just want to say I really appreciate you coming here to chop it up, man. It's very important for the community to see the good work that you're doing. You know, came home striving to the top. You know what I mean? Through all the adversity, not letting nothing stop you, man. So I really appreciate that.
Likewise, bro. I appreciate the opportunity to be able to come share my message, my testimony, from my experiences of being out here, trying to find my way.
Most definitely, man. Is there anything you want to lead the audience with before we roll?
Yeah, man. That bad decisions, your past bad decisions don't define your future choices. Like, in the end of the day, don't let nothing, don't put no restraint on yourself based on the past, or thinking that you can't accomplish what you want to accomplish, because you can be anything you want to be in life. Just gotta apply it. You gotta put your energy in it and make it come to fruition.
And where can they find your clothes and stuff?
They can find my clothes at ArmecheMacross at BigCartel.com, and I was having my stuff at Culture Vibes and Legends.
Dope, man. So y'all go support, man. ArmecheMacross.
We need it, man. Come support, man.
Freedom for Felons. We out.
Right.